I love wrestling and you love wrestling. We love wrestling. Let's talk wrestling. So, got Nicole here from Down for the Count. Got a Dazzle, the man you know with Black Wrestling Alliance. And this is an interesting topic. So, I'm just going to say one trick pony. And then I'm going to let Nicole and A Dazzle take it. And, I'm going to fill in the truth because, we can talk about a one trick pony. And it was brought up by Nicole. So Nicole, tell us about this one trick pony.
So I think it was like 2 weeks ago or something. I was, I ate some pizza and I was like, I'm going to look at, I don't know, for some reason I was like, I watched, it was after the Kenny Omega and Moxley match. And I'm like, man, this is not good. And I was like, I don't remember him being this bad for some reason. And then I started to go back into like his catalog and I was like, wow, he's not good. He's been doing literally the same moves. He's had the same moveset, the same facial expressions, everything. Heel, face, whatever. His entire run. And I mean, I went back to when dude had long pink hair. And I was like, wow, it's like I'm tripping. And so and then I put in the chat, I was like, hey, it's like I don't know if this is me just like being nitpicky or whatever, and I was like, does anyone feel like this? And then a couple people were like, yeah, like Adrian, you were one of them. You're like, I 100% agree. I was like, okay, so we need to talk about this then. This needs to be a conversation.
It is very, very true. Go, Trey. Go.
I'm just saying. We talking about the one trick pony, the number one wrestler in PWI this year?
You mean Adam Cole?
Listen, here's the thing about the PWI thing. I'll always say this. I have no issue with their criteria. And a lot of the time when you actually look at their criteria, at least the top 50 make sense. To me, it makes sense. There's very little argument. But for me, with Moxley winning, again, didn't necessarily have a problem with it. But for me, the reason why he won was the hysteria around Moxley and AEW. It wasn't the greatest matches. It wasn't his skill set necessarily. It literally was the hysteria around Moxley. And then obviously on top of him winning the AEW World Championship and winning bouts in Japan as well. So there was definitely still an argument all day long for him actually being at number one. But at the same time, you can still make some sense of it. To respond to what Nicole said about his moveset, one trick pony, like I'm there. I'm right there. I think exactly the same thing. And here's the thing for me. So obviously we know him. We knew him as Dean Ambrose in WWE. Mm-hmm. We also know, and he had that podcast that went viral as well, talking about he was stopped from doing this, that, and the next, and being creative and all this kind of stuff. So I'm thinking, okay, and I agreed. Like, okay, let's see what happens in AEW. Is going to be any different? I saw the same guy. I was very disappointed because I was ready to see someone new. I was ready to see this guy that we haven't been able to see for ages and this complete star. But he just had shorter hair. And that was it.
What about the NJPW Jon Moxley, though?
That was a little different. That gave me hope for a more...
that
was a very different one.
Yeah, that Jon Moxley comes out to me, AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I have to agree. That's why I campaign all the time about him. He needs to leave AEW and just straight up just go to Japan. I know obviously with the climate right now, and I don't know if he feels comfortable doing it now that his wife's also with child. So that might not be something that he feels comfortable doing, going all the way to Japan for X amount of months of the year. But at the same time, I think, and Tiger Driver did like this really cool article. I want to say at least a month or two ago, and they were and it was like they were comparing certain wrestlers to rappers, and I think they compared Jon Moxley to Big Sean. And I was kind of upset because I think Big Sean's a good rapper, but he gets a lot of flack. But that's neither here nor there. Um, and he's just one of those people that, like, you saw a glimpse of greatness of him in New Japan, especially working with like the Young Lions and like that whole banter. And I felt like he was on a whole nother gear. And then in AEW, I'm like, this is just Dean Ambrose with a different name. Like, he's not doing nothing that I haven't seen him do before, and it's even more boring. So I just want to understand, and I agree with Adrian. I think it's just a whole hysteria behind AEW, that people are really looking at it with rose-colored glasses instead of just like looking back. And I'm like, no, he's literally been doing the same shtick minus the New Japan run for years, and it's boring.
Mm-hmm. I think it's perfect timing that he lost the championship. I think that run literally was very much forgettable, very, very heavily forgettable. And I think, I mean, I guess I was going to ask the question, like, is that actually his fault or AEW's fault?
Now that you talk about his run, I was sitting here, I was thinking that before you said it, but thinking over it, it's like what? Jericho,
Mm-hmm.
Lance Archer in a one-off,
Yep.
Brian Cage in a one-off,
Yep. MJF
one-off.
Yep. Kenny Omega's a one-off as well. I know they had a match a year ago, but that was, 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
That's the end of it. It's forgettable, massively forgettable. Obviously, Eddie Kingston as well. That was possibly the most realistic, believable feud that he had again. 3-4 weeks, which was kind of happened. We can blame COVID and those unpredictable things and stuff. But yeah, it for me it wasn't like, oh my word, this is like the greatest wrestler on the planet. It really wasn't. Really wasn't. So
to your question, do we blame Moxley or AEW? I was just think about AEW with their feuds. They're all like one-offs, and the build-up is so small that people are just in that moment. But you get like 2-3 weeks, like you said, match happens, and then they move to the next thing. But that seems to be their blueprint. So that's kind of, I gotta kind of put it on AEW, because I've seen a lot of one-offs where it's like, okay, Lance Archer and Cody. Lance debuted, and all he was about is killing Cody, Jake the Snake turning his back on Cody and everything. They had one match which the TNT title was a prop for. I guess Lance is okay with Cody now, because I haven't seen them two interact anymore after that. And that was coming over.
Right.
So
Right. It's a very common thing. It's a very, very common thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get anyone who's listening, watching, or whatever else who are fans of AEW that will try and defend it and say, well, it's about giving people chance and all that type of thing. But a long look at look at WWE now. We've complained about some of their feuds and stories lasting too long, or they're doing the same thing. But look at Sasha Banks and Bayley. Look at Roman Reigns and Jey Uso right now. Look at there was another one that happened this year. Oh my god, it's just gone from me.
Mandy and Sonya's was really
there's
good.
that one as well. But even Seth and Rey Mysterio, at a point, it felt as if it was going on too long. But then it took another turn. You're like, okay, I'm invested in this again. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's. I guess the reason why I asked the question. The reason why I asked the question is because.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, go on.
AEW, the Elite storyline. You know, they
put that's true. No, that's very, very true.
Yeah.
That has to be mentioned. That has to be mentioned. That's very, very true. That one lasted. But for me, I almost feel as though that almost kind of came up every now and again when they didn't know what to do. So with Kenny and Hangman, was there really a an ending to that, or was there a implosion? Yes, they had that match, but are they friends? Are they not? What's are we still kind of going to revisit that when they don't know what else to do?
I feel like they'll revisit it. I hopefully feel like they'll revisit it.
Yeah.
They kind of have to at this point.
Hangman will go through his thing, but then Hangman probably should be the one to knock him off down the line somewhere.
Yeah.
But after you build Hangman more and more, but he's trying to join the Dark Order right now or something. So.
Yeah. And that type of thing is fine in terms of the long thing. I guess for me with that storyline as well, there was a casualty in the AEW Tag Team Championship. I feel as though the tag team division suffered because they held that title for way too long.
I
think they held the title for way too long, and there were so many tag teams on AEW. We know that we expected that tag team division to be like the greatest thing on the planet. It really wasn't. It really hasn't been, and I think that is the main reason why. So,
and that point,
it was like that weird chokehold of
it was
them. It was just weird
to Elite members. So that's how I looked at it, because the Young Bucks, a lot of people, Cody, he had his TNT title run. He went through the roster. Kenny and Hangman, tag team champions. They literally beat every tag team that you have on your roster, and they just got thrown together. But you have the best tag team division, but two people you just threw together. No tag team history goes through everybody because they're great singles wrestlers. How you doing, WWE?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think I mean obviously AEW dropped the ball a lot with their tag division this year. I believe they also they can't even find a ball to even drop it for their women's division. So it's just but to circle back a little bit to the Moxley thing, when you were saying do we blame AEW or Moxley, I think it's both their problems, because I think AEW, in my opinion, they left the title on him way too long.
For sure.
I believe, I understand in hindsight now of Jericho being the first person to hold it, even though I'm not the biggest Jericho fan anymore. But my thing is with Moxley, I was like, honestly, he should have lost it to MJF. That's my opinion. I think they should have. I know he's not like the greatest in the ring, but like neither was Miz. But Miz should have had. But Miz, I think Miz should have had a way longer run as WWE champion that they let him. I think that was a complete disservice to like the character. And if you have MJF, who's literally been basically almost undefeated in singles his entire run there, make him champion. And you can build on his in-ring skill and everything and work on it during this time, because not like they have house shows or anything. It's not like they have anything besides tapings, and he's not necessarily going to even go on dark either. So you have plenty of time to sharpen him while helping elevate the title and have a brand new face as a champion of your brand instead of people who have come from other places, whether it be WWE or etc.
And that's the thing. I think it should have been MJF as well. I think they probably should have built it just that little bit more for MJF to, for us to feel as if he should have been champion. But then just the simple fact that he's a crafty, conniving heel, just like The Miz was back then, and has done his best work as that type of character, it would have simply made sense. And then having Wardlow next to him as well, it makes it even easier to make that, believable. So, and it would have made a lot of sense with building MJF in the way that they have, in kind of like in the background, I guess. Yeah, and then anyone else that comes along, eventually takes it off him and, builds their own character and stuff. So, yeah, I think AEW definitely dropped the ball on the longevity of how long Moxley held that title for.
Yes,
for sure. But at the same time, apart from MJF, I don't necessarily think any of his rivals, any of the views that he had, I could see any of them taking that championship off him. They didn't build it properly. Cage and Lance Archer came out of nowhere and done that whole thing twice.
I feel like they buried Cage and Archer. No matter how they want to do it, it's taking some work to even get back to how hyped they came in. Man.
Even now with Cage, I was saying this on my show the other day, that even now with Cage and now with Will Hobbs joining Taz, like Cage is the third member. It's that simple.
Yes.
Cage is easy third member. Behind Hobbs and Starks, he's the third member now. But yet he was the one that came in and challenged the AEW champion out of nowhere, kind of thing. Yes, he won that, that Battle Royal match or whatever it was, and then devised his own title.
So he wouldn't have to worry about the AEW title.
Exactly. Yeah, because nobody wants that belt. So I mean, he got worried about defending it too often. It's true. Who the fuck wants that?
You're not gonna be
no one wanted that belt back in the day, and they definitely don't want it now. So
not at all. And this is the thing. This is the thing. I know this whole thing is more about Moxley, but it just shows that AEW's came in and give it the big talk, and they're going to do this different, and going to do that, and but it is literally just an alternative WWE show. It's not a different thing, but at the same time, in their defense, in a way, it just shows just how difficult this pro wrestling thing actually is. To get it right, to make it work, to keep everyone happy, to do something different that, at the end of the day, Vince McMahon has patterned it. Whether we like to say that or not, he has. He's made it into what it is today. To then try and do something different is very difficult. Very difficult. So, good luck to AEW, to be honest.
Yeah. And I appreciate them starting the company for not only like providing more jobs to the wrestlers and and people behind the scenes and whatnot, but I think also people need to realize, especially those people who are just so this is for both side people who are so pro WWE they can't see straight, and also people who are so pro AEW that they can't see straight. The reason AEW can manifest is because of Vince and what he created. And I think people need to just suck it up and realize that, you don't have to like it. I'm not telling you to like anything, but it's just kind of being realistic about what he's done to help create modern wrestling and for it to be a thriving business as it was, because yes, we're always going to have indies. The indies have existed since beginning of time, and
Mm-hmm.
when they were just performing at carnivals in the early 1900s. But to where it is today, you know, I don't know, they might need to send Vince like $1 or $2 or something every month. Or I know, and I always make this, and I always tell the elite, I always tell them, I said, I hope, I was like, I always tell, it's like, I hope Cody and the Bucks and all them, you know, send Finn Balor a check every month, because they wouldn't be able to do what they're doing if he didn't start Bullet Club. And I will die on that hill willingly.
And send them both a check.
Yeah, that's like, exactly.
Yeah,
I
that's
said
true.
they both deserve a check. But I said, I was like, they need every first of every month. I hope they're writing checks to them, set wirings of, you know, a few stacks over to them. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for helping me put food on my table. All right, I'll see you next month, dude. I'm being for real. Like, they really should. They need to run them dudes some checks.
I'm dead with you. That might be the next conversation.
Yeah.
Because I'm dead with you on that. Ooh, I don't even want to get started on that. But
yeah, no, people don't like butt there, for real.
As Dazzle was saying, you know, AEW has a way of doing things that it seems like they keep going. Jon Moxley seems like he's been doing the same thing over and over. We're not discounting the NJPW run at all.
No, that's a flash of greatness.
That was yeah. I don't know why that was so different.
You go on the Instagram, I posted the match like, oh, who is this? They're like, that guy. But it's Jon Moxley, AEW, one trick ponies. Has man made the wrestling business a one trick pony? When you try to do something different,
that's a strong question.
The same trick. So we're back on Jon Moxley because I'm not going to mention anything that he just said.
Going back to Moxley, actually, to be honest, I know he's probably gonna. I think he might be taking some time out or something like that, so we won't see him for a bit. But it's like, because he's been champion obviously the whole time AEW's been in existence, more or less. I know Jericho was the first one, but because it was so long, it's like, what does he do when he does come back? Does he come straight for Kenny Omega, even though Kenny Omega's trying to win every bout now under the sun? Like, does he come back for him? Like, how do we do it?
Yeah.
There's no other option but for him to go straight for Kenny Omega. Is that going to be a good thing or a bad thing? That may depend on what Kenny does from now until John comes back. But
you know how they do. You know, they'll run Brian Cage into his way, and then, you know, he'll feud with him for a little bit. But back to what you were saying, y'all said earlier, Brian Cage the third wheel. So AEW might already thought this and already had this planned out. You're probably thinking down the road. Brian Cage has to break from Team Taz and turn babyface on them. That's how you get back over down the line. They might have already thought this. Yeah, so it could happen. I mean,
it was something that I said on my show as well. Actually, was we were listening to another podcast who said one thing they can do or should do with Cage is have him become jealous of Hobbs, and then them two go at it. That would work, and then obviously then turn Taz Cage babyface, maybe side with Cody, because Taz and Cody are having this thing at the moment with his son and all that kind of stuff. So it's possible. There's something there to work with. It's not all over for Cage, definitely not.
No,
I don't think it could ever actually be. It's just about trying to find how to bring him back up, how to make him a believable big guy again. Because at the moment, he just looks like a big guy that doesn't know what to do.
Exactly. I think they also dropped the ball on that casino chip thing. I think that should have been more of Money in the Bank type of deal, but changed up the rules so it's not exactly like the Money in the Bank. Like, I don't know, say you have X amount of time to hold it. Don't make it a year. I don't know, say you got, say it's 6 months So you hold that you have that chip for 6 months,
Mm.
and you're only allowed to cash it in at the upcoming pay-per-view or the upcoming specialty show. You cannot cash it in at a regular TV episode. So you can kind of use that to get more bodies to watching the pay-per-views, get more people to buying it, because you're like, oh shit, like he has like a month left or 2 months left with the chip. What if he cashes in today? So I don't know. There's just so much that they could have done with that they just was like, I don't know.
Here's another question. Here's another question. What's the point of the diamond ring?
There's no point. It just looks nice.
I've always wondered, like, I thought that was always going to be some kind of, calling card to say, all right, I want a championship match or something along those lines.
Is that how EJ got a championship match though?
Nothing to do with the ring, no. That was just a feud.
I thought it was because of the ring. Because
that's news to me. If it is, I don't know.
Let me look it up. I don't want to.
Please, because I don't.
If somebody cusses us out.
Yeah.
They're already gonna cuss us out. It don't matter now, but
yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, I don't know. I think with Moxley as well, going all the way back to Moxley, he just didn't have the best contenders. He just hasn't had the best contenders. They didn't build the right people in the right way. Yeah, maybe it should have been, Adam Page earlier, or just other people. I don't know who, to be honest. If we're completely honest, I actually don't know who. But at the same time, if he did lose to MJF, they could have easily made a lot of sense out of it. Even if it was by, being conniving and all the rest of it as he is, and Wardlow interferes and then he wins, and stuff like that. And then the whole time he's got it, he's winning because of antics, just like the Miz did, and and that worked at one point, because of all of that stuff. Miz was literally the top heel in pro wrestling. He was literally the top heel in pro wrestling at one point. Not when he was necessarily the champion, but I think it was when he was the last time he was Intercontinental Champion, just before his whole thing with Shane McMahon. When Maurice came back. Yeah, definitely when Maurice came back. All of that there. So it's not like it can't be done. It can be done. It can be done, but they just dropped the ball with that one big time.
Exactly. I don't think Maurice gets her flowers enough for that run or her time within the industry on camera. She really doesn't get the flowers, because she, in my opinion, I mean, I like the Miz not just because he's from Cleveland, but he also, I think he really involved, and he really stepped up his game, and he tried and he worked hard and persevered. And I think Maurice really was like, this is what you need to do to elevate yourself. Because she was in a time when, especially in that Divas era, it was very tumultuous, and you had to really, really stand out to even get 2 minutes on TV.
Yeah, correct.
So I don't think she gets enough. I don't think she gets the credit or enough flowers for what all she did to help elevate his game to what that was, because that whole IC title was run was like God tier. I mean, that's his best body of work.
For sure.
Shout out to the Divas back then who were one trick ponies, trying to just bring it around.
Don't be coming. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully Moxley, takes some time off, goes to Japan, enjoys being a dad.
I think he really needs to go to Japan. Build his repertoire again, type of thing. Show people that he can have a great match again.
Whoa, you said never mind.
But no, I think he needs to come back, and I think AEW needs to allow him to almost be as aggressive as, you know, as you can get in Japan. I think that's what was missing. We saw it, we saw glimpses of it, but it just never went there. And that last match definitely didn't take us there at all. It wasn't a bad match, but it definitely was disappointing, anticlimactical compared to what we expected it to be. If it weren't for that ending and the talk of Impact, we'd be like, yeah, title change and that's it.
Yeah.
And even that whole Impact thing has been a bit anyway. But anyway.
Yeah, I think he's like Moxley has like glimpses of greatness and then it just like fades out or dims, or I don't know what the real issue is. I don't know if it's something he's just like, yeah, it's like whatever, and he's just like super comfortable and just, you know, just being, you know, mid, but upper mid. And I won't call him mid, but you know, he's upper mid. And he's like comfortable with that. And he's just like, you know, he's like, I might add a little razzle dazzle here every once in a while to, you know, spice things up. And he's like, man, like, Jesus, do something. And I think that's what makes me mostly frustrated, because it's like you see something and then it just like disappears and you don't see it for like 8-9 months.
And here's the craziest thing. I was just thinking as you're talking about the mid, Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know him from WWE as Dean Ambrose, and obviously because of the Shield. Now, if you look at all of those three guys and they're 2020, I don't care what anyone says. You can argue with me all you want. But of those three, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins' work stands out for me more than Moxley's did. I know Moxley. I know Moxley had the title. I know Moxley had the title. Trey's gone.
He said no.
I know Moxley had the title, but for me, especially when it comes down to character work, at least, especially when it comes down to character work, keeping us invested in what they're gonna do next. As much as the Seth Rollins Rey Mysterio thing got very weird at one point, I don't think you can. I don't know. I just feel I was definitely more invested in Seth and Roman way more than I was in Moxley, for sure. And I think it's kind of always been that way anyway. Mm-hmm. It's always been that way. Naturally, always has been that way. We cared about Rollins and Reigns way more than we cared about Dean Ambrose, for sure.
Yeah, I 100%.
I don't feel it's changed. It could have, and it did for a time. NJ, you know, in NJWP, New Japan, whatever it is, but then now it's come back to this. Yeah, he's that other guy that was in the Shield. Type of thing.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because especially.
Tell me why not? Because I can't. I don't see any other way. I personally don't see any other way.
No, I 100% agree, because especially when you look at the character work that they've done, especially Seth, especially Roman. Now it's it's literally glaringly obvious, and that was like another thing. And people always like to say that, D. Ambrose or Jon Moxley or whatever you want to call him was the best member of the Shield. And I was like, you know, when people say that, I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I was like, I don't really have like here or there, even though I would be like, I think it's Seth at that time. I was like, I think it's Seth, but I was like, it's whatever. And it's still, because, you know, people love to shit on Seth Rollins. But that's neither here or there. But I was like, I agree. I think it showed how leagues ahead both of them are, and how far they've gotten. And he's just like stayed at one point. And I think that's what's frustrating, because that's the whole point of the Shield is to show, okay, look at these guys. And yes, like Moxley has those PWI covers and then the stories and the article, but you know, so does Roman Reigns and so does Seth. But people again have those rose tinted glasses on towards him. I'm like, he hasn't really, again, besides New Japan, he hasn't done anything remarkable. And you have Seth Rollins, who's completely did this weird, like, preacher, like, messed up preacher gimmick. And then you have, oh, tribal chief, I'm the head of the table, blah, blah, blah. Everybody eats because of me, even though you can really make the argument everyone eats because of The Rock, but that's neither here or there. I feel like that's something that someone has to bring that up, and I think that that's the one thing that bothers me in the back of my mind. I said, do y'all think he's dead? Like,
that's how we'll come back. That's how we'll come back. I'm sure.
Yeah,
You're challenging.
I was like, okay, we'll forget him for the time being. But yes, I think especially with the work that Roman's doing, I'm like, there's just no way that Moxley's even comparing right now. They're not even on the same. They're not even in the same building. Moxley's on a boat somewhere, and then you have Roman in the Empire State Building.
So here's what we're gonna do, because what they tried to do is to get this to go another 2 hours. So we're gonna cut this right here, and I'm gonna say the next conversation we have is gonna be unshielding the Shield.
Okay.
I've been a Shield fan since they debuted here in Indianapolis in 2012. It's a history of the Shield that we have to talk about, because a lot of people said about it was a little notion they had about the Shield starting out back then. They already touched on it, and I felt that way so long, and no one ever gave me. But one trick pony could be anybody. We got an hour. You know what I'm saying? So how do we do this? I had to cut the combo because I was about to go in, and Dean, you gonna get it again. I'm sorry, it's gonna happen. Well, I guess we can, Nicole. I mean, they kind of know you, but the people don't know you. So I guess we'll do something that we usually don't do for you.
I don't even know my social medias. You can find my podcast, Down for Account, on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at down the number 4, the count 19. You can also find us on Twitter. Not on Twitter, on Instagram. I don't remember our Instagram. Just type in Down for the Count.
E4TC_podcast.
Thank you. I don't know it. It's either Terry or Tiffany who knows the Instagram for some odd reason. I won't remember it. You can also like our page on Facebook, Down for the Count. But again, you can find us on Anchor, listen to our stuff, comment, tell us what you love or hate about us. We get it all the time, especially on Twitter. But yeah, follow us there. And then you can follow my personal account is Nicole Maria 89. And that's enough putting myself over.
Okay. If you find her Instagram, hey. Next person up.
No, I don't say my Instagram. They can figure that out.
Black Wrestling Alliance.
Yes. Oh Lord, this is your boy Dazzle, of course, from Black Wrestling Alliance on Instagram is the main place you can find me. So that's Black Wrestling Alliance. I'm also on Twitter. Show up there every now and again. Black Wrestling A, because Twitter don't allow you to go too many characters. But yeah, so check me out on Instagram. You'll find me doing also the Wrestle Extra podcast, which is also on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel, and it will show up as well on affinityextra.com later in the week. So catch me there, and also as well catch me doing the Jet Power X every month, the Black Wrestling power ranking, monthly power ranking. And you'll find me, especially next year, popping up all over the place because I'm trying to get my face here, there, and everywhere. So check me out. I'm here.
Ooh. Terry, put yourself over. You know what?
Put yourself over, Terry.
On the YouTube, you know, we LUV Wrestling. You can follow us on Instagram, we LUV Wrestling. Twitter, we LUV Wrestling 1. Follow us for things wrestling, you know, different events and everything. I like to go to events, so you'll see me. If there's something going on that's big that I like to see, you'll see me. Look out later this week. Do a wrap up on the Generation Championship Wrestling Diamond Cup and also the Mission Pro Run It Back. Shout out to Queen Aminata and the Negra for winning the titles. See you.
Sure.
And other than that, well, I can't even tell you about that. But we got something special coming for the end of the year. My top 10 is coming on with me. Just know that.
Okay.
But other than that, man, you know, one trick pony on the We're not gonna be bashing people, but for real, open your mind up and like actually listen to what was said and then go back and look at it yourself. Because a lot of times you be like, oh, they just hate this, but when you present facts to what you're saying and you actually listen to what the people are giving to you, then you can open up your perspective. And we may not even be right. If you got something to say, comment on it, let us know. You know, everybody got different opinions and ours is not right. Yours is not right. That's why you collaborate and you make your brain better for wrestling.
Exactly.
Like I always say, like you should know, if I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling. This was too sweet. This was definitely for the coaches.